Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of A Fresh Perspective on Prayer. This video series was created for the purpose of helping individuals cultivate confidence in prayer. All right, guys, let's get into it. Episode 3 coming at you. Today, I want to talk about the power of prayer. The power of prayer. And I want to put it in the context of a electrical cord and a electrical outlet, okay? Obviously, we understand the relationship between an outlet and a cord to an appliance or to machinery, right? So on and so forth. The power source is behind that wall. It's in that outlet, right? There's energy, electricity, there's a power source that's available. And the cord to whatever mechanism we may be speaking of, right? That's the connector point, okay? So keep that in mind as we talk about the power of prayer. Now, I wanted to touch upon something that I believe I'm going to expound upon much more on a later video, and that is the fact that we were created in and created for communion, okay? Communion, that deep, rich, loving, compassionate, passionate connection and communication. Now think about this. In Genesis, when we were looking at the creation of all things, right? We got to mankind, humans, and the Bible says God said, let us create. I'll say it one more time. Let us create. He didn't do that with any other creation. Anything else that God created, he was not explicit. He did not go out of his way to ensure that it was revealed, right? That he had this conversation with himself, where there was this us, right? Last time I checked, us represents more than one, right? So keep this in mind, right? It was in the creation of you and I that God had a conversation, aka communion, right? Connection with himself. Now, this video is not to debate on who the us was. I know there's a lot of, chatter out there about who the us is, and, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose is to acknowledge that there was an us. And so the us, think about this. This was a conversation or communion where there was a point of agreement. He said, let us create man in our likeness and our image, right? And forgive me for the video going black. I'm just out here doing my morning walk, and I was just inspired to go ahead and, hit record. As I told you guys, this is a very organic, very personal vlog. So you never know where I'm going to pop up with the next video. But stick with me. There's some lights coming up down the road where you'll be able to see my face a bit better. Okay. But I'm not the point of this video, right? It's our prayer life. So anyway, here's God, and he's speaking. There's a conversation going on, and there is an agreement that's happening, right? There's an agreement that's happening. Let us create man, right? And so the first thing that I wanted to point out was we were created in and through and for communion, communication, connection, right? So we were created in that, and I'm gonna get to the power in just a moment. So we were created for connection. We were created to communicate, okay? And so let us create man in our likeness and our image. Let him do X, Y, and Z. Okay, so now he created us. And now I want to fast forward to the fall, because this is where the power source comes in, and this is where we get clues, we get insight as to what really matters. Many of us understand that the devil, Satan, he is our enemy. And with any enemy, he wants to destroy you. And in the process of looking to destroy you, trying to take you out, coming against you, obviously any enemy wants to take the best possible strategy. They want to use the best possible route to take you up out of here. They want to use the best possible means to, really hit you at your core, right? Which brings up, remember, we were created in communion, connection, for communion, connection, right? Humans, like no other mammal or really anything that exists, we have a special level of communication and communion that is unmatched by anything else in creation. So in Genesis 3, we see the fall of man through a conversation that Satan had with us. He introduced the idea, and I won't go heavy into it, but he introduced the idea that God was holding things back from us, that we were not as we were created to be, right? Like God. He questioned that, and he caused us, more importantly, to question that. And so through that conversation, through that questioning, we were tempted and we were led down a path of sin, and get this, separation from God. That's the most important part. And that's what I've been leading up to. I had to give you some backstory to bring you up to this point. He introduced this idea that God and man were not cool, and God wasn't really for us, and he really wasn't on our team. And through that, he cut the cords of communication. He cut the cord of communication, AKA he cut the cord of communion. That's right, that deep, rich, meaningful, compassionate, passionate communication and connection with our Creator. Did you notice that after we sinned, after we missed the mark, after we ate the apple or whatever we ate, up until that point, we have been kicking it with God, right? Up until that point, let me go over here where there's some more light. Up until that point, we have been kicking it with God, communing with God. God bring the animals to us, we name them, so on and so forth, right? We doing big things with God. Did you notice that as soon as we sinned, right? And I'm just changing arms because your arms get tired out here. But did you notice that as soon as we sinned and separated and the cords of communication were cut, did you notice that in that next verse, God went looking for man and he hid? We hid. When he asked Adam, where are you, man? What's good? What's going on? Adam said, I heard you coming, so I hid. Well, you heard me coming yesterday and you didn't hide. Why you hiding all of a sudden now, man? See, the communication, the communion, the thing that we were created from at our very core, and the reason that we were created at our very core, right? So let me say that again, because that might have sounded kind of messy. At our very core, essence, the very center of our existence, we were created out of communion. Let us create man for communion. It was our origin and it was our purpose, chief purpose. Communion with God, communion with one another, communion with self. And Satan knew, hey, their power source for life, now this brings us full circle, the power of their lives is contained in their communion. It's contained in their communication with their Creator, with one another, and with themselves. And I want you to go back in Genesis and I want you to read line by line. Check this out. I'm about to really spit some game to you. Check this out. Go back to Genesis and read now. I don't have it memorized, but let me just kind of paraphrase. But you go back and you read it line by line. Check this out. When God began to question Adam, Adam hid from God. That was separation from Creator. Follow me. Well, actually, let me take a step back. As soon as we sinned, remember, Adam represents us. So when I say Adam, this just represents us, right? The human condition. You feel me? He was a template. You feel me? First thing, as soon as the cord of communication was cut, as soon as we sinned, as soon as we were separated, the first thing that Adam and Eve did, the first thing was they began to feel and experience shame. Shame, by definition, means something's wrong with me fundamentally. So that was the first separation. Self. We separated from ourselves, guys. Pay attention. Please pay attention. Please get this. This is all going back to the power source. He separated us from us, right? Remember, we were created for communion, connection with Creator, society, right? And source, and self. The way I like to say it, the way I memorize it is source being God, society meaning others, and then self, right? Meaning you and I. So the first one was, I feel shame. I'm naked. Something's wrong with me. Something's different with me. So they made coverings for themselves, right? Go back and read it. So that showed us separation from self. Number two, God came looking for them. I'm hiding because I heard you coming. That's separation from source, okay? And let me just kind of do a quick side note. I keep pointing up. God is not up. God is all around us. We're in God. There's nowhere we can go where God is not. I'm just using that because that's sort of a American symbolism or something that we do that people can relate to, right? So we kind of point up, but God is not necessarily up. God is all around us. But anyway, but you get my point, okay? So we separated from self, right? Then we separated, right, from our Creator, from source. And then did you notice when God questioned Adam and said, well, what went down, what happened? And if you recall, right, and you're gonna go back to read it. He said, this woman that you gave me, she took some of the fruit and gave some to me. So now he's looking at her sideways. Did you catch this, guys? Did you catch this? Through one conversation. If you hear nothing else, hear this. Through one conversation, Satan was able to separate us from ourselves, from our source, and from our society through one conversation. Go back and read it with these new lenses. I told you, this is a fresh perspective on prayer. I told you, this is a fresh perspective. One conversation hit us at our core and completely cut the cords of our communication, our communion, and our connection with our source, with ourself, and within our society. One conversation. It changed the game forever. We will never be the same. We've never been the same. And so, what is this whole thing about this power source? We get our power through our purpose. We were purposed to commune and connect. We were purposed to communicate with source, with society, with ourselves. And so Satan says, I'm going to cut this cord. I'm going to cause division, right? Division, double vision. I'm going to cause you to look at God, your source, and society, other people, and I'm going to cause you to even look at yourself sideways and differently. And I'm going to divide you, and You were created in unity. The best way for me to destroy you is to introduce division. That's a whole nother video. You were created in unity. Let us create man. It was unified. It was a unified decision. It was agreement. We were created in agreement, and then we were divided, right? So it's an amazing strategy. It was an amazing strategy, right? Because it perpetuates itself. Okay, let me not get off track. Let me go ahead and wrap this up. So the power source, right? We started with the energy source. If we're not in prayer, then we're not in communication. We're not connecting with, we're not in communion with the source. The source, God, helps us in our ability to then reconnect with those in our society and with ourselves. That's the best way I can put it. Is there layers to it? Yes. Is there levels? Is there levels to this? Absolutely. Right? But this video has already, been pretty long. But my point is like, as long as I don't allow you to plug back into the power source, aka prayer, right? Because God is the source. He's the energy. He's the power that flows everything else. Forgiveness and wisdom and love and passion and compassion and all of these other attributes and all of these other gifts and all of these other graces to allow us to regain a love and compassion for ourselves, a love and compassion for humanity. But if I keep you cut, if I keep you disconnected from the source called prayer, that's what it is. It's reconnecting each and every day, connecting to the power source. If I can keep you out of prayer, then I can keep you out of your power. If I can keep you out of prayer, I can keep you out of power. Just like the socket in the wall. If you don't plug the cord into the outlet, it will have no power to run. It will never fulfill its purpose. Because its purpose, talking about the appliance, its purpose, just like you and I, its purpose, our purpose, is connected to and powered up through the energy that comes from the outlet, aka our source, our God, our creator. I hope and pray that this makes sense. That's why it's so hard for us to pray. That's why everything in hell comes against our prayer life. That's why prayer is always saved for last. That's why prayer life or praying is always, just kind of the cultural idea is it's work. It doesn't work, or it's a hassle, or there's all these rules to it, and we complicate it. And we complicate it to such a degree that we either save it for last, or we just don't do it, or we do it half-ass, or like whatever the case may be, but we never really lean in and just totally embrace it, because it's been his target from the beginning. It's been his target from the beginning. See, back then, God was communing and connecting and communicating with his creation on a whole different level. Now, even as the Bible says later in Genesis, there then came a time where man began to call on the name of the Lord. There became this prayer life. There became this calling and this needing and this yearning and this desire to be recreated, to be reconnected with our Creator. So I think I've broke it down enough. I wanted to just put you up on that game to, just to help understand, because a part of cultivating our confidence in prayer is understanding why it's hard. A part of cultivating confidence in prayer is understanding what's coming against us. What's hindering our prayer? Why is it difficult to pray? It's because you have an enemy of your soul that wants to see you destroyed. And the last thing he wants is for you to start feeling good and to start being confident and competent and consistent in reconnecting to your power source. Because he knows if you pray, you're going to get some power, and it's going to power up your life. and then you'll be able to fulfill and live out your purposes. So I'm gonna end with this, man. Prayer, plug into prayer, plug into your power, plug into your power, plug into your purposes. I love y'all, praying for y'all, believing in y'all. Until next time, I hope and pray that this added some game, that it helped, right? That it edified, that it built you up, that it made sense, most importantly. Please share this video and let other people know in your life, in your church, in your community that may be struggling in prayer. We're going to continue this series just organically as I'm inspired and wherever I'm inspired. I hope and pray that you stuck with me, right? You know, even through the bad video, kind of being out here in the morning, but I get it in early with God, and many times he speaks to me and just inspires me with content and with information at this time of the day. And so I just felt today to go ahead and hit that record button. So I pray that you guys enjoyed it. Again, all the links are down below for my book, The Corridor to Confidence, a step-by-step guide to cultivating confidence in prayer. If you want to pick that up, I'll put the links down below. If you've never listened to or subscribed to my podcast, got links down there below as well, my website, just how to contact me. If you guys have questions, if something didn't make sense, if you want me to expound on something, if you have ideas for future videos, if you have specific struggles in prayer and you want me to touch upon those topics, man, hit me up at info@iamthepossible.com, info@iamthepossible.com. I would love to hear from you. Also, any feedback, even criticism, whatever, man. Let's chop it up. Let's talk. Let's communicate. Let's commune. Let's connect as we were created to. All right, I'm out, man. Until the next episode, until the next one. Y'all be good, man. Y'all be good. I'm out. Peace.